Good day, everyone. This is the report of Group 1 in Foundations of Special and Inclusive Education. Our assigned topic is Individuals with Disabilities Education Act or IDEA to be reported by me together with my co-reporters Abakita, Bitizar, Bustilyon, and Cabonegro. So let's have first a brief introduction about Individuals with Disabilities Education Act or IDEA. So IDEA ensures that all children with disabilities are entitled to a free appropriate public education to meet their unique needs and prepare them to further education, employment, and independent living. So all children have the right to go to school, not only those children who doesn't have disability, but also those children who have disabilities. So this act helps students to enhance their skills, give them chance to learn, and encourage them that disability is not a hindrance for them to success. So what do we need to know about Individuals with Disabilities Education Act or IDEA? So first is IDEA is the nation's special education law. Yes, it is because special education law special designed instruction provided at no cost to parents to meet the unique needs of a child with disability. It can include specialized activities in gym, music and arts, education, and specialized instruction in the classroom, home, and other settings. And this is very helpful to the whole nation, especially to those children with disability. So the next is schools must find and evaluate students thought to have disabilities at no cost. So the purpose of evaluation is an essential beginning step in the special education needs process for children with disability. Before a child can receive special education and related services for the first time, a full and individual initial evaluation of the child must be conducted to see if the child has a disability and is eligible for the special education. And this evaluation is free. Parents will not pay for this step. So the next is having a diagnosis doesn't guarantee that a child qualifies under IDEA. So not every child is eligible for special education under IDEA, and having a diagnosis doesn't guarantee child's eligibility in special education. So to qualify, the child must have a disability that falls under one of the 13 categories that IDEA covers, like autism spectrum disorder, emotional disturbance, and others. IDEA also covers kids from birth through high school at the age of 21. So not all kids who struggles in school will qualify. So as the nation's special education law, IDEA provides rights and protections to children with disabilities and to their parents or legal guardians. So IDEA gives families rights too. Parents and guardians have the right to be part of the team that develops the IEP. They have the right to disagree with the school and ask for due process or formal way to resolve disputes. So learning your rights under IDEA can make it easiest to get the help your child needs and is legally entitled to at school.
So, to continue the report of Group 1 about the IDEA or Individuals with Disabilities Education Act, I will be tackling its purpose. IDEA was first passed in 1975. At that time, it was called the Education for All Handicapped Children Act. The primary purposes of IDEA are: number 1, to provide a free, appropriate public education or FAPE or FAPE to children with disabilities. FAPE is an individualized educational program that is designed to meet the child's unique needs and from which the child receives educational benefit and prepares them for further education, employment, and independent living. Then the second purpose of IDEA is to give parents or legal guardians a voice in their child's education. One of the IDEA's foundational principles is the right of parents to participate in educational decision making regarding their child with a disability. Parental rights of participation can be summarized as follows. Parents have the right to participate in meetings related to the evaluation, identification, and educational placement of their child. Parents have the right to participate in meetings related to the provision of a free, appropriate public education to their child. Then, parents are entitled to be members of any group that decides whether their child is a child with a disability and meets eligibility criteria for special education and related services. Parents are entitled to be members of the team that develops, reviews, and revises the individualized education program for their child. If neither parent can attend the IEP meeting, the school must use other methods to ensure their participation, including individual or conference calls. The more parents involved in their children's education, the better their entire class's motivation, behavior, and grades become. And that's all for my part. Thank
Hi
you.
everyone, I'm Lorna Majin Bustillion, and now I'm going to tackle about services under IDEA and who's eligible. We can say that not every child is eligible for special education under IDEA, and having a diagnosis doesn't guarantee eligibility. So to qualify, your child must have a disability that falls under one of the 13 categories IDEA covers. So first is the specific learning disability. It is a disorder unrelated to intelligence, motivation, effort, or other known causes of low achievement that makes a child struggle in certain areas of learning such as like reading, writing, or doing math. And it also affects the child's ability to speak and listen. Next is the other health impairment, which covers the conditions that limit a child's strength, energy, or alertness. So one example of it is the ADHD, which impacts attention and executive function. So when we say ADHD, which is the attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, it is a brain disorder that affects how you pay attention, sit still, and control your behavior. And the third one is the autism spectrum disorder, or ASD. So when we say ASD, it is a developmental disability. So it covers a wide range of symptoms, but it mainly affects a child's social and communication skills, and it also has an impact behavior. So it is a complex developmental condition that involves persistent challenges in social interaction, speech, and nonverbal communication, and is restricted and repetitive behaviors. So the effects of ASD and the severity of symptoms are different in each person. And next is the emotional disturbance, wherein various mental health issues can fall under the emotional disturbance category, and they may include anxiety disorder, bipolar disorder, obsessive compulsive disorder, and depression. And some of these may also be covered under other health impairment. Next is the speech or language impairment. So a common example is stuttering. Other examples are trouble pronouncing words or making sounds with the voice. It also covers language problems that make it hard for kids to understand words or express themselves. So in short, it is a disorder that adversely affects the child's ability to talk. So next is the visual impairment, including blindness. An example of it is a child who's having an eyesight problem. So this category includes both partial sight and blindness. Next is deafness. These are kids who can't hear most of all sounds even with a hearing aid. And the next one is the hearing impairment. The term hearing impairment refers to a hearing loss not covered by the definition of deafness. This type of loss can change over time. Being hard of hearing is not the same thing as having trouble with auditory or language processing. So let's proceed to the deaf blindness. Kids with a diagnosis of deaf blindness have both severe hearing and vision loss. Their communication and other needs are so unique that programs for just the deaf or blind can meet them. So this includes progressive sight and hearing loss, where your communication, mobility, and ability to access information are impacted. And also, your sight and hearing may deteriorate over a period of time. And the next one is the orthopedic impairment. An example of this is a child who is lack of function or ability in their bodies. And the example of it is a person who has a cerebral palsy, because it is a disorder that affects a person's ability to move and maintain balance and posture. Next is the intellectual disability, wherein kids with this type of disability have below average intellectual ability. They may also have poor communication, self-care, and social skills. The best example of it is a person who has a Down syndrome. So next is the traumatic brain injury, which is caused by an accident or some kind of physical force. And the last one is the multiple disabilities, wherein a child with multiple disabilities has one more than condition covered by IDEA. These disabilities affects learning or other important life functions, and it could be a combination of both motor and sensory nature. So, in 2017 to 2018, around 7 million students ages 3 to 21 received special education services under IDEA. That's 14% of all public school students. The most common way students qualify is with a specific learning disability, wherein these conditions affect a child's ability to read, write, listen, speak, reason, or do math, as what I've said earlier. But there are steps you can take if your child is denied services under IDEA. So one option is to consider a 504 plan, which provides accommodations to help kids in school. So this 504 plan are covered by a different law called Section 504 of the Rehabilitation Act, wherein it guarantees certain rights to people with disabilities. It was one of the first U.S. federal civil rights laws offering protection for people with disabilities. And next that we're going to discuss is how to get services under IDEA, which will be discussed by Mr. Abakita.
Okay, and the next part that I will discuss is how to get services under IDEA. The first thing you will do if you think your child needs special education services, you have to follow a legal process to make it happen. This process can be confusing. It can involve several laws. The Individuals with Disabilities Education Act, or IDEA, is the most important one to understand. You can request an evaluation at any time. And if the school thinks a child might have a disability, it must conduct an evaluation. The evaluation not only determines if a student has a disability, it also sheds light on what services and support the student might need. For example, if a student um, is an autistic, therefore, the evaluation should include what are the needs of a person with autistic. And in requesting an evaluation, you should find out how the evaluation process works. You should also read about evaluation rights, including whether you can refuse to have the school evaluate your child. Currently, there are 11 evaluation rights, and I'm gonna name 11 of them. So the first one is the right to request an evaluation. Second one is the right to receive a written notice of the school decision. They have also the right to give or refuse consent, the right to a prompt evaluation, the right to a thorough evaluation, the right to be free of discrimination, the right to be a member of the team, the right to a special education services, the right to appeal decision, the right to an independence educational evaluation, and the right to a re-evaluation. Okay, and after that is there is hold an eligibility meeting. After the evaluation, the school will hold an eligibility meeting to decide if your child qualifies for special education. If the answer is yes, you'll work with a school team to develop an individualized educational program or an IEP. It is a legal document that spells out our child's educational goals and the support the school will provide. Okay, and that's it for the on how to get services under IDEA. And now my other teammate will discuss the role of the caregivers and parents with the person or the children having an idea.
My part is to discuss the role of parents and caregivers. The idea recognizes that you are your child's most important advocate. The law gives you a say in decisions and your child's education as well as many care rights. So the first role of parents and caregivers is is to learn how to advocate their child. If we say advocacy, it is promoting and defending another person's rights, needs, and interests. Many people can speak up for their own rights, needs, and interests, but not all, because PWD persons can't speak their or can't express their own rights, needs, and interests. They need motivation, they need encouragement so that they can express or they can speak up for their needs or interests or rights. Like for example, ang bungol nga tao dili siya maka-fill up sa iyahang needs, interest ug rights. If the parents will motivate this person, i-encourage siya nga mao ni buhata imong rights, gam-a imong right because naa kay nga ana tanan tawo may rights. Kung unsa imong interest sige go, no? Ang PWD person nga okay. So nara ni this is the kay nga kanang or this is the right time nga mo kuan ako mo express ako mo speak up nako sa akong mga interest mga needs because namo koy parents nga ni-motivate o ni-encourage sa ako no. In advocating you only focus on creating awareness, building support, and working for change. Yes, because kung mo mag-advocate tag as isa ka person or mga tao kanang especially mga PWD, so we create awareness for them, no? Ato silang pahibawon nga you are different from the normal person, no? Ang dili na lang matinga kung naay mo discriminate mo judge sa ila because sa ilang condition. Because mo na na mo na ang society karon. Discrimination is existing. Fastly existing ang discrimination nowadays. Imo silang i-advocate nga ma-aware sila, no? Nga dili na sila makuratan kung i-discriminate sila. So, dapat ready sila kung may mo discriminate nila. And then, building support. Yes. Isa sa goal sa advocator is to build support sa katong mga na, na depressed na tungod sa ilang condition. Dapat suportaan nimo sila kung unsa ilang interest, although ang ilang interest is tukuhay sa ilahang condition, no? Pananglitan hilig siyang kanta pero amang siya i-support lang ninyo, di ba? Pwede mo siya mag-lip sync, di ba? Pwede siya mag-lip sync. So, muhatag og suporta ani nga tao para mo-motivate niya ang iyang kagalingon nga i-express niya iyahang kagalingon nga whole gani mo ra siya normal nga person na dili na kaingon nga ay katunga lang akong express kay PWD man ko dili niya i-full express yang
kaugalingon because wala man siya support. Kung imo siyang suportaan din, makita gyud nato og unsa gyud siya, no? And last is working for change. This is the very main goal of advocacy, no? Para makita nato kung naay change sa katao. Kung ang parent sige siya motivate o encourage sa iyahang child, then makakita ra sa siya results sa iyahang kanang pag-motivate siyang anak, no? Because mo man kanang kuan sa parents ilahang gusto nga naay changes sa ilahang mga child although PWD sila, no? When you are advocating something, it is essential that you have a clear message to share, no? Lisod sad kayo or lahi sad kayo, no, kung mag-advocate kag sa usa ka child niya walay tumong ang imong gi-advocate, so para asa ra man to. So dapat naay clear message ato, dapat katong advocacy nga imong gi-share sa iya dapat ma-picture out na ato nga PWD person nga in the near future kung magsigihan niya og kanang work to nga advocacy sa iyang parents, din makakita siya nga nindot ra man sa di ay ang kanang ang results, no, para sa ko aram sa ang results. So that's it. So the second one is special education roadmap can help you, no? To do so, they are expected to follow a set of principles, okay, strategies and structured sequences. Like for example, amang nakay anak nga amang. So the moment nga na discover nimo nga amang imuhang son or amang imuhang child, no, you have to research about how to communicate sa mga amang nga person because lisod kayo makig-communicate kung walay tingog ang imong kaistorya, no? Nga pulos ra hand signs, mga non-verbal actions ra iyang gihatag. Usa man pagkasinabot ninyo, so dapat nadyo kay mga strategies unsa imo pagpasabot na kay principles nga sundon unya nasad kay mga listahan nito nga ang iyang buhaton, mga do's and don'ts ba kay lisod sad kay bubuhat kag mga things nga dili sad siya ka relate, no, og palitan dili siya kaganahan, so may possibility nga ma-offend to imuhang child, so dapat na kay mga strategies, mga structured sequences and principles, set of principles, no? So the last one is debunk common myths about special education. So if you say debunk, no, I hope I am reading right. I am reading this word right. Debunk. So it is exposing a false, no? So avoid exposing false myths about special education, no? Dapat dili ka magstorya og mga kanang mga negative nga mga story about special education. Like for example, ni eskwela na imong child, dapat dili ka maingon nga ay ikaw na kay bungi man ka, adto ra ka sa bungi nga room, adto ra ka sa bungi nga mga section. No, dili nimo ipa-feel nga kuan siya nasa likaw galingong kalibutan, no? You should encourage them nga bisag bungi ka, kuan gid ka kanang adto gid ka sa section nga normal person ang imong kauban, no? How can your child enjoy the study kung ang iya harang mga kaatubang is same ra sa niya? No, how can he experience good socializing skills kung ang ihaharasang mga kauban is same ra sa niya og condition? No, dapat dili ka moistoryag mga false myths. Dapat mga encouraging words ang imong istorya sa iya para sa ganahan sa siya, uy, no? Para sa akong classmate, bungi siya niya kanang nangutan ako sa iyahang mama nga kanang may kay napasabot noon nimo tiya si Angelo may nga nato may kay napasabot nimo siya tiya, no, nga kanang dili siya lahi sa uban, no, pero niya na sa iyang mga lisod pan sa imo siyang ilain kay madaman to niya ikadako, no? Dapat daw sa bata pa daw ang iyong inyong mga child dapat inyo na daw silang i-train or inyo na daw siyang pasabton nga kanang dili mula it sa uban, no? Bisag maingon ta physically lain ra jud kay naisay bungi ka niya ang kuan sakto, no? Physically speaking, different ra gud kaayo ang PWD ug ang normal. Pero ginama man ta sa tao so dapat perfect yun ang ato ang kuan sa to. Bisan pa magnaay mga missing parts sa ato ang bodies, dapat dili kita mo discriminate, no? So that's it. So the first one is the parents need to advocate or need to learn how to advocate their children. And then the second one is the special education roadmap. And then the last one is debunk common myths about special education. Now, that's the 3 roles of parents and caregivers. If you're just learning about evaluations, dive into our beginner's guide to evaluations and consider joining the understood community to hear from other families on how they navigated the process. That would be all. Thank you.
So the last part of our report are the key takeaways. So the first is to qualify under IDEA, a child must have a disability and special education because of it. So not all students who are struggling in their classes are eligible to IDEA. So a child must be eligible in special education are those who have disabilities that falls under the 13 categories that IDEA covers. So like autism, deafness, emotional disturbance, and others. So for the second is, if your child is eligible, you'll work with a school team to develop an EIP. So EIP creates an opportunity for teachers, parents, schools, administrators, related services, and students to work together to improve educational result for children with disabilities. So and the last is, IDEA gives you a say in your child's education and many important rights. So before I end this discussion, I will leave you this quote. You're not disabled by the disabilities you have. You're able by the abilities you have, by Oscar Pistorius. We are all unique individuals, so all we need to do is just to believe the abilities that we have in behalf of our disabilities. And that would be all. Thank you. Have a nice day, everyone.